Hello students, it's Nazia Begum here, your physics lecturer, welcoming you all in today's lecture. Today we are going to start our third unit, which is actually chapter 5, and the name is Laws of Motion. Under this chapter we are going to study about these topics: law of inertia and its types, Newton's first, second and third law of motion, conservation of momentum and its applications, common forces in machines and equilibrium of a particle, friction and circular motion. And I know that you all are very familiar to these topics. Now let's see what new we are going to study in this chapter. If we are talking about motion, we cannot neglect force. Force is the factor because of which any kind of motion is there. But what is force? Whenever you are doing any kind of action because of which any work is happening, okay, so that action of yours is called as force. It can be pushing, pulling or both. When you have to lift something up, you are actually pulling the thing. If you have to pull something, shift something down, you are pushing it. When you are turning the page, opening the window, when you are moving the bicycle, etc. Whatever work you are doing in your daily life, either you are pulling or you are pushing something, okay? Or in some cases both can be there, like when you are riding the bicycle, sometime you have to pull the pedal and then push it, okay? So there, pushing and pulling, both the things are happening together. When you are opening the window, you push it outward. When you have to close it, you pull it inward. When you are writing something, to make the letters, to write the sentence, you are pushing and pulling the pen in your finger, okay, with your finger. So you can imagine that, so means whatever thing we are doing in our everyday life, we are doing what? Pushing and pulling the things. And sometime what happen, we are actually pushing or pulling the things, that means we are trying to apply force, try to change the state of motion, but there is no effect of that force, okay? Like when you push the ball starts moving, but when you push the wall, wall, then you will feel no effect there, okay? So that means force sometime can bring the change, sometime no change will be there. So whenever you are applying force, either you are putting something in motion or you are stopping something to move, or you can change the direction of motion as well, okay? So three types of changes are there because of force. First, the rest state can be made up in motion. The moving state can put in rest, and the third thing is the direction can be changed. And these three changes are related to state of motion. As well as one more type of change is there, which is the change in shape, okay? Suppose if you have a sponge piece in your hand and you push that, what happen? Its shape will change. But in place of that sponge piece, if you have any steel item and you push it, the shape will not change. So the force can sometime change the shape and sometime it won't. So by this discussion, we come to one conclusion, that force sometime can bring the change and sometime because of force there is no change. But if there is no change, it doesn't mean that we have not applied force. Okay, we apply force, but work is not there, change is not there. That is also the situation. So one complete definition of force can be given by: an action in the form of push or pull exerted by an external agency which tends to produce motion in a body at rest, stop a moving body, change the direction of motion of a body, change the shape or orientation of the body. If we try to summarize this. So we can say that force is an agency of pull or push which changes or try to change the state of motion of the object. Now we will read Aristotle's fallacy. Okay. So according to Aristotle, if a body is moving, an external force is required to keep it in motion. So according to Aristotle, what he is saying here, that if we apply force on a body and the body starts moving, so to keep that body moving, continue in motion, a continuous force should be applied on the body. Okay, but today this statement is flawed. Why? That I will explain you. So imagine a situation when, suppose one ball is there on floor and you push the ball. Then what happened? You once push the ball continue moving. Okay, so you are not applying continuous force on the ball, but the ball is moving continuously. So with this small experiment only, we can say that this statement of Aristotle is not true. If this would be true, then we continue has to give force to ball to move it for longer time, but it is not the case. Similarly, when a child is dragging a toy car, okay, so if once it drag it and leave, then the car move for some time without applying force. So many examples from day to day life we can use, and we find that this statement of Aristotle is false. Just opposite to Aristotle, Galileo has given one more statement, that a body is moving until an opposite external force is not applied on the body. It means if once we apply force on a body, it will keep moving until and unless any other external force is applied to stop that. Okay, like suppose if a ball is there which is moving in a frictionless surface, so the ball continue moving there. Okay, once we apply the force on ball, the ball continue move on that floor. But if there is frictional force, okay, so that force acts in the opposite direction of the force we applied, the opposite direction of force, the opposite direction of motion. So that time, because of the opposing force is present there, the object will stop. So here you can feel there is contradiction in the statement of Aristotle and Galileo. Aristotle says that if a body is moving, the external force is required to keep it in motion. But Galileo said that no, it is not the true case. If a body is moving, so it will keep moving continuously unless any external force is applied in the opposite direction of motion. So here in front of you there is Galileo's statement. If net external force acting upon a body is zero, then it continues to maintain its state of rest or uniformly motion along a straight line. Okay, it is also called Galileo's law of inertia. Now the next topic is inertia, and you all are very well familiar with this word. Okay, as stated above, inertia is the resistance to change. See, whenever we are applying force on a body, the body suddenly don't start moving. Okay, but the body suddenly not start moving, but it moves according to how much magnitude of force is being applied on that. Okay, so the magnitude of force is decided by a property of the body which is called inertia. It is actually the resistance to change. So whenever we apply force on a body, the body resist that force. The body does not want to change its state of motion. Okay, if it is at rest, the body want to be in rest only. If it is moving, the body wants to move only. So when we apply force, so initially the body resists that, and to overcome the resistance we have to apply more force. When we apply sufficient force which overcome the resistance of the body to change in state of motion, then only there is some kind of change in the state of body. And inertia totally depends on mass. If the mass is more, inertia will be more. If the mass is less, the inertia of the body will be less. And that we can experience by general practical things, like if any light weighted thing is there, so we have to apply less force to move that. But if heavy weighted thing is there, then we have to apply more force to move that. Okay, so according to weight only we have to apply force to move a body. That means inertia depends on which thing? It depends on weight only. Okay, so if weight is more, inertia will be more, the body resists more. If weight is less, resistance will be less. Then there is three types of inertia which we will study in brief, in short, because already we have discussed it in 8th and 9th classes. Okay, so first is inertia of rest. That means it is the tendency of a body to resist any change in its state of rest. Inertia of motion, it is the tendency of a body to resist any change in its state of uniform motion along a straight line. Third is inertia of direction. It is the inability of a body to change its direction of motion by itself. Now let us discuss Newton's first law of motion, which is also called law of inertia. And why it is called so? Because in this law we are basically talking about the state of motion of a body. So according to Newton's first law of motion, every body continues to be in its state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless an external force compels it to change that state. So basically this statement is saying that the body cannot change its state of motion by itself. An external force is required there, and that is what we called as inertia. The property of body by which it cannot change its state of motion by itself is called inertia. And because this law is telling us about that only, that's why this law is called as law of inertia. Alternatively, Newton's first law can also be stated that if net external force acting upon a body is zero, then its acceleration is zero. Acceleration can be non-zero only if there is a net external force on the body. Newton's first law can be understood by this example as well. If a bus starts suddenly, the passengers start moving forward with the bus. Okay. Actually what happened? When the bus is stationary, the passengers sitting in the bus are also stationary. If suddenly the bus start, then what happened? The passenger fall backwards. Why this happened? Because the lower part of the passengers sitting in the bus comes in motion with the bus, but the upper part of passengers are which is not in motion. Okay, so lower part moves forward with the bus, but the upper part is not moving with the bus, and that's why we feel that upper part is going backward, but actually it is the lower part which is going forward with the bus. When someone shake the branches of the tree, the leaves and fruits fall out. Why this happen? Because initially what happened, the leaves, fruits, branches, they all are in rest position. When someone applied force on branches and start shaking them, the branches comes in motion, but the leaves and the fruits, they are at rest. So what happened? One thing, that is branch, is in motion, but the other thing which is connected to that, that is leaves and fruits, they are at rest. So that's why they disconnected and the fruits and leaves fall down. The same case is there when someone is beating the carpet or the mattress, the dust particle comes out, but it is not the dust particle actually which are moving. The actual motion is happening in carpet and mattress surface. Okay, when initially what happened, the carpet, the dust particle, they all are at rest. When we start beating the carpet comes in motion. Okay, and dust particle remains at rest. So the carpet change its position, but the dust particle does not change their position, and with air they start flowing. Okay, the air blown them away. So like this, the dust particle are separated from the carpet by beating them with stick or with hand as well. Similarly, a cyclist keeps on moving even after he stops paddling. Why this happened? Because when the cyclist was paddling, that time the cycle has gained some speed, some momentum, and because of that it is in motion. If the paddling is stopped, then also because it was in the state of motion, the cycle keeps continue in motion. It cannot change its state of motion by itself unless external force, that is friction, is applied by the road or any other surface. So if there will be no resistance in form of friction or air resistance, so the cycle keeps continue moving for long time, but because of friction only it stops. One more good example is there, that when the car takes a sharp turn, okay, so the person who are sitting inside the car, what they feel that they are falling outwards. Okay, but this is not the case. Actually what happened, there is the inertia of direction which works. The person sitting inside a car taking a sharp turn tend to fall outwards. The person try to not to change their previous direction due to inertia of direction. When the car was going in straight direction, the person was also going in straight direction. When suddenly the car takes turn, okay, car takes turn, but the body of the person, it is not able to change the direction suddenly, and that's why they feel that they are falling outward, but they are not falling outward, they are continue moving in the straight line direction. It is the car which suddenly moves and make them feel that they fall outward. In case of uh, jumping out from a moving bus or train or car, any moving vehicle, the person who is jumping out fall. Why this happen? Because initially the bus is in motion, the person is also in motion. If the person jumps out from the bus, that person suddenly comes at rest. Okay, initially the body of the person was in motion, and when the person jumps out, that body suddenly comes at rest, and that's why the person fell down. So that's why it is advised that whenever you are coming out from a running vehicle, you should immediately not try to come at rest, but for some distance you should run with the vehicle. I am not saying here that you should do this. Okay, it is only one example which I am explaining now. Don't try to do this. Okay, never try to abort. Okay, never try to get in running vehicle. Okay, as well as never try to get out from the running vehicle. It is really very dangerous. But if sometime suppose an emergency is there, if any situation comes, so it is advised that before going before getting in any running vehicle, you should hold the vehicle and then run with the vehicle for some time, and then get up, get inside the vehicle. Okay, like in case of train, first you hold the rods which are there near the door and run for some time. When the train and your body both comes in motion, see, train is already in motion, so your body should also be in motion. So first you run for some time. When your body comes in sufficient motion, then you try to get in the train. Okay, similarly when you have to come out from any running vehicle, then also you should first run for some time and then come at rest. This is also one case of inertia. Okay, luggage tied on the roof of a car. Why we tie the luggage? Because when the car takes turn or suddenly start or suddenly stop, so that time the luggage can fall down from the car. That's why we have to tie it with rope. So these are some examples of inertia, which is related to first law of motion given by Newton. Now in next topic we will discuss another laws. Till then, goodbye, take care, do some productive work, and most important thing, be healthy, be safe.